Welcome to Part 6 of Legend of the Nuka Slugger. This series uses the Fallout Wasteland warfare game system to follow the exploits of the Nuka Slugger, a psychopathic wasteland denizen who loves nothing but baseball and Nuka-Cola. Part 6 takes place along a roadside where a survivor's stash has been revealed. The Nuka Slugger isn't normally big on scavenging, but when you get a tip from a loose-lipped traveler about a pre-packaged bag of caps, food, clean water, and other useful materials, then going after easy pickings is an easy choice. The Slugger's kit should be old hat by now if you've gotten this far in the series. He's a veteran raider with the Big Leagues perk and equipped with a baseball cap, bat, and single grenade. The owner of the stash, a still sentient ghoul, is not too keen on the Slugger walking off with it, so she's got a bolt-action pipe rifle and is ready to fight for it. Generic ghouls are kind of an inverse of the generic settler card. Instead of having a shooting skill of 6 and only 4 HP, the ghouls have an inverse, 6 HP, but only 4 when shooting. Backing her up is a police protectron, which she's programmed to ignore her and defend the area. However, some of its routines are still glitched, so it won't go too far beyond the immediate area. So that's the Slugger's goal. Get to the bag, pick it up, and escape off his board edge. The bag is really heavy though, so while carrying it, he'll move one color range slower. If this sounds familiar, that's because it's the same setup from Part 1, but this time, the Slugger is on the offensive. The ghoul gets to set up in the middle of the board behind some cover, but the Protectron has to start off guarding the stash. As the only model on his side, the Slugger goes first. He moves up with both actions, but stays in cover. The ghoul decides to break from her own cover to negate his, and takes a shot. It hits, but even with an armor break, the Slugger's armor holds up and he takes no damage. The Protectron pushes up as well, but can't quite reach the Slugger to tie him up in melee. Seeing that he likely won't get any opportunity to hit both of the defenders, the Slugger whips the baseball grenade at the ghoul. The hit is good, and she blocks 1 damage with armor, taking 2. He also gets an action point out of the roll, which he uses to prepare. With his second action, the Slugger charges around the Protectron and into the ghoul. The Protectron joins in the melee as well, but this triggers the Slugger's prepared action. He uses the reaction to swat at the ghoul. Despite being a quick action, it's a huge hit, 3 damage breaking through the armor. The ghoul now only has 1 single point of HP left. Following up its charge, the Protectron gets to make its own attack. The hit connects, but both damage get blocked. Not liking her chances in the melee, the ghoul pulls back. Fortunately, she doesn't get a parting swat from the Slugger because he's still engaged with the Protectron. She takes a shot into the melee, which only hits because it's easier to target the larger group. However, she accidentally tags the Protectron. The roll ends up with 3 total damage. After armor and strong armor tokens, 1 still gets through. Whoops. Though, Protectrons have tons of HP, so this shouldn't be too big of a mistake. As the turn rolls around, the Slugger gets to go next. He can't charge the ghoul because you can't charge from one combat to another, but gives chase with a normal move action. The Protectron gets their parting swipe, but since it's a quick action, it whiffs. The Slugger's swat would have put the ghoul in the dirt, if it hadn't critically failed. However, he uses a post-attack shift move to get closer to the stash and make things more difficult for the Protectron. It charges in as expected, but has to use both actions. With the bot backup, the ghoul is free to exit the melee again. She takes another shot, but misses widely. At least she gets a prepare action out of it. But who are we really rooting for here? The Slugger is up next and disengages from the Protectron. It missed its parting attack, I just forgot to take the picture. Then, he slings the stash over his shoulder. This triggers the ghoul's prepared action. Her shot hits, and even gets 2 damage through the Slugger's armor.
"That's mine! You leave it there!"
she shouts.
"Looks like it's mine now,"
grunts the Slugger as he hefts the bag onward. Unengaged for once, the ghoul takes a pair of shots at the Slugger. Since the cover is within orange range of her, it doesn't get in the way. The first shot is a miss, though. The second shot, on the other hand, is good, and it gets another point of damage through. The Protectron follows up, but the awkward robot can't quite land the hit even with an extra green die from the charge. The Slugger pulls away, and this time the Protectron is actually able to connect. Getting 2 more damage through is pretty big, since the Slugger now only has 2 left, so any normal attack could be curtains for him. At least the attack didn't stun him. The bag slows movement down by 1 speed, so the Slugger charges into the ghoul to at least get back up to yellow range. It's unlikely that he'll get to use that charge bonus, but you never know. The Protectron charges in, but its abilities appeared to have regressed back to the mean, and it misses completely. This time around, the ghoul tries using a ranged weapon in the melee. With a crit fail, it goes horribly. So she books it back around the cover where she started the encounter. The Slugger is up and takes a risk pulling away from the Protectron. It rolls a massive 4 damage attack, but misses, so the Slugger is safe for the moment. He uses his next action to get behind cover. This time, the ghoul can't reposition to flank him. At this point, the Slugger is in range of the board's edge, so all he has to do is weather this turn and he'll be home free. Not willing to give up yet, the ghoul takes a pair of shots. The first one is a clean miss, twanging off the aged barrel in the junk pile. Clearly flustered by how this is going, she tries again, but fires even wider than the last time. The Protectron tries to charge in, but can't quite get to the Slugger in a single move. So it has to use its second action to charge in. This means that all the Slugger has to do is get away from its clutches one more time. Let's see if that old Nuka-Cola fueled fury can get him out of this one. He takes a chance, and the Protectron's parting attack misses. With his final action, the Slugger gets off the board, and the Protectron loses interest in chasing him.
Heh, talk about stealing home,
smirks the Slugger as he treks off down the road. And that's a wrap on this scenario. A surprisingly close result. I knew it wouldn't make sense to try and knock out the Protectron with its armor and HP pool. Also because damaging it might have triggered the self-destruct, which is pretty nasty. I had expected to take out the ghoul, and if I had used a settler, they would have been out after that reaction swing. Though, of course, the worst shooting skill meant that the Slugger avoided a few more hits. This is the penultimate entry of the first season of The Legend of the Nuka Slugger. The next part will introduce something of a new twist, so look forward to that coming down the pipeline soon. And stay safe out there in the Wasteland.